My name is Karl Lillrud and I'm here at the Saudi-British Joint Business Council, where we will be talking about the future of commerce. Not only e-commerce, but consuming goods and services in a digital world. We will be focusing on empowering you as a listener, as our audience, to know more about the future, or possibly creating the future. I will be telling you about my experience from working within this field for 25 years, helping companies all over the world to scale up and understand how they can empower their consumers.
I've been working with helping organizations grow faster for 25 years. Back in 1996, I was just 16 years old. I started my first company. But IT as a concept was quite new back then. Today, a lot of things have happened. So I just jump forward to where we are right now. We're talking about the future of e-commerce, but maybe not really e-commerce. What we're talking about is future of trade, future of consumption, future for consumers. And when we talk about the future, it could prove to be quite tricky, because we don't know the future, right? But what we have learned is that we shape the future. We create the future. And for us to be able to do that, we need to connect puzzle pieces. We need to create puzzle pieces, and we need to dare to create new recipes. But to create new recipes of success, we need to break a couple of eggs. We need to dare to change things. We need to step away from the position that we think we hold. We are perfect at relaxing. We are very, very convenient as people. And whenever we feel convenient in being leaders, we will get to a challenging position where basically we stop being what we are so good at, innovators. And what happens then? Huge companies like Toys R Us and Blockbusters thought that they owned the market. They thought that they could just relax about the situation. Toys R Us actually said that we don't believe in e-commerce. Eventually they felt that, okay, we need to step into the landscape of e-commerce, but that was at a position when it was too late. They went into bankruptcy in the States. And Blockbusters thought that we own the way of consuming video, to go to a store and actually pick out what you want to view and socialize in a way. And then this small company, Netflix, started to send the videos, the actual discs, to your home. And with that, created a new situation. That situation changed the climate of how to consume video. And if we look at e-commerce, what we can see today with statistics is that 47% of all websites load in less than 2 seconds. But we also see that 40% of consumers are not ready to spend more than 3 seconds. So we have a lot of work to do to actually deliver to what the expectations are still. And many companies look at consumers like this. We have type consumers, we have personas. But again, consumers don't want to be grouped together. They want to be felt like individuals. They want to be what they are. I'm Karl. Treat me with the information that you can collect on me, rather than treating me like any other individual. That's the support that we consumers tend to love. Because we don't want to spend time and waste time on things that take time away from us. To make this possible, we need to do experiments. We need to invent new things, but I'm not talking about pixel perfect. I'm not talking about the perfect solution, because you don't know what the perfect solution is yet. You need to try different things, and to be able to do that in record time, you need to soften the edges, try things, and create golden eggs. Maybe give your customers an ability to play around in whatever you have to offer. And with that, grow with your consumers. Huge companies do this all the time, but not for all the consumers, not for all the visitors. They do it to make sure that they can track behavioral changes, to understand what's expected, but also to understand what's not expected, where they can invent new opportunities. It's not easy. It takes time. It takes a lot of work to create these different solutions. Thinking outside the box means that you need to actually think without being tailored into your footsteps that you have been walking along for the previous part of your life. But to do this, you need to be an expert at breaking things, but also to understand what works and what not works. It's said that to be a pro at something, you need to spend 10,000 hours. But after doing these things, you could almost look around corners. You know where the ball will hit next time when you get it back to you. There will be expectations based on patterns. And with that, you can do the unexpected. And with the unexpected, you will build trust, you will build confidence, you will build customer relationships. And not all the ideas in your jar will be amazing. Some will prove to be very, very interesting, but also possibly consuming a lot of time. But after a while, you start to see this. You start to see a pattern. Something is connected to each other in a way that you didn't predict. And with this pattern, you actually get to a position where you can start connecting things, connect these dots into what might attract the innovators, which then lead to a greater audience of the early adopters, which are ready for these ideas. Because having something new doesn't fit everyone. There is a bunch of consumers, businesses, users, individuals that only want to do what they know how to do. So when you do experiments, don't think that the small group that you're experimenting with is the answer to your experiment. You need to try to find different ways when you're experimenting. After a while, you find that the ideas, the patterns that you created, there will be something that points out, that shows you a direction. And with that direction in mind, you start to move at rapid pace. And that's where you want to go. You want to be where things change at real high speed. But when that happens, you will also find the blockers, which is very, very challenging for us as individuals. Because with the blockers, we get to a point where we don't know how to get past the blocker. Because we are totally consumed by this situation. And again, you need to break out of your comfort zone. You need to look at what's blocking us is not actually blocking us. It's a distraction. How can we see this from another point of view? How can we create different ideas to get past this? If we just look at a quick example, Amazon created something that was really interesting. So this small button, which was created back in 2015, is a one-click button connected to Amazon. So they charged the companies to produce the button, the technology inside it. And with that, they get their brand on the button. Isn't this amazing? To put it on a washing machine, and with that click, you buy the item that you just ran out of. It's creating e-commerce in your physical environment, but without retail. It's something new, but they discontinued this because smartphones grow as a concept and people started to use smartphones more and more, they tried something new. Okay, voice. We don't need the button because people talk. And with voice, we can actually pick up the order without having to even touch the button. So the future is now, but what we just talked about felt like a bit of the future. It's been around for quite some time because they created this back in 2015. And as we talked about earlier today in this amazing event, shipping is something that we all need to see improving all through time. With that, we'll have tons of different solutions. We have robotics and we have other ways of receiving the goods that we buy online. Today, it's actually very interesting to see that we have had 660,000 commercial deliveries by drones. I don't think that many of you have seen drone deliveries, small things flying around in the air yet, but in some countries it's getting more and more. And we see 2,000 drone deliveries per day. We expect to have 1.5 million drone deliveries by the end of this year. But sometimes you're just in a place where you're wasting time, like waiting for the train. This is an amazing concept of, again, connecting e-commerce to where you are. So by the train side, they created a grocery store, but the items are not there. It's just QR codes that you scan, and with one click you get it to your front door. And with proper delivery methods, you get it before your home even. So you don't have to go from the commute situation to the grocery store, buy the stuff, because you do it as you wait for the train. There's tons of different experiments like this around the world, but you need to look closer to see what opportunities lies within them. This, as an example, is a car vending machine. They actually created a vending machine for cars. So whenever you walk on the streets, you can pick up your phone and use the app and take a photo of a car that's just passing you because you like it. And then the app will tell you which vending machine is closest to you so that you can go there and try the car. You don't even have to pay for it. You try it for a period of time, and if you like it, they will create a contract with you. Build long-term customer relationships, because it's super, super expensive to build customer relationships for the first order. So it's all about creating that relationship that sticks. And that's done with trust. Speeding up a little bit, we already know about augmented reality, and we are guided with it in our smartphones even without thinking of it. So what we'll see quite soon is AR taking place in retail, adding information to items within the store. We can try things in our home, see how it looks with the sofa or whatever it is that we would like to buy. But for this to expand into the new world that we are seeing, the virtual reality world, they are now opportunities to create items for the virtual world, so that you can build your second home, your second life for the platform that you would like to enjoy. NFTs will change how this operates. And this example is Boring Ape, where they have created art with a possibility of buying and selling art online that is unique for you. The Boring Ape concept, or the items, the lowest price you can find this online is $430,000 US. And this is empowered with digital currency, with cryptocurrency. We have all heard about Bitcoins, but this landscape will change. This will evolve over time as well, as it matures into our pockets, into our daily lives, in a way that We don't know yet, but it's up to us to design it, to create it. And what we see is that influencers are creating these opportunities. They are creating a new way of consuming things, apart from e-commerce as a concept that we very well know of. They created live streaming shopping, and companies picked up on this, that influencers was using this form to market products, to create the possibility to buy items empowered by someone you already trusted. And in some countries we can see that companies are now building influencers within the company. And just add this to the virtual world where you can actually create your avatar influencer that you as a company own. I just walked past this the other day, and Ray-Ban have been doing something together with formerly known Facebook, now Meta, where you, with the Ray-Ban glasses, actually record and you can have voice control to share your life. What we also see is from TCL that actually add a layer of information, enabling you with AR on your glasses, so that you can be guided throughout your life with extra layer of information. Not having to pick up the phone and be isolated, but actually be part of wherever you are and not just in your own bubble. It will guide you and will add the information that you are requesting, obviously with voice control, but also with logical reasoning. And instead of having screens and laptops carrying with us, we can see whatever it is that we want to see in front of us, to work in a more convenient way. And the technology to do this as a lens on top of our eye is already there. We think this is the future, but again, this is available today. Maybe not for everyone, maybe it's not a perfect fit for everyone even, but the possibilities with adding this information is endless. Just think of the lesser expected consumers of this. If we look at people in retirement homes, to add information for them to feel more secure about their environment, to add information that support them. Because it's not all about consuming products as physical products. Maybe it's about consuming information and sharing information. We don't need to carry the phone with us because we have the information in front of us. We can have input devices just in front of us in the air. And we can be guided. We can be helped with whatever it is that we need help with. This information can be created and sold as a product. So it's not really about if the glass is half full or half empty. It's about creating the glass. And eventually, it's about creating the force that holds the water. I'll tell you a funny story about customer expectations. So, we are brought up today with handheld devices that we learn how to use. We have been using computers for quite some time, but we have learned that along our lives. We have been brought into a world where we evolve as individuals. But if we look at the younger generation today, they step into a more virtual world than we can imagine. My daughter stepped into this world 12 years ago. And as a parent, we gave her the ability to play around with an iPad quite early, obviously choosing what games to play with, and there was one game that I personally felt was quite secure. It didn't change her way of reasoning, I thought. It was a koi pond app. So when she touched the screen, the fishes swam away, and there was ripple effects on the surface of the iPad. I felt that this is probably something that will not get her stressed up and play on the gamification and collecting points and extra lives and all of that. She was just 1.5 years old, so obviously I just looked at her to see how she consumed this information. But a little bit later, we went to a place where there was an actual koi pond. And she sat down by the koi pond, or we sat her down by the koi pond, and she touched the water. And at that moment, I saw something happening in her eyes. She looked at me and like, oh my God, why don't we have this at home? I can actually pick the hand and push it through the screen. This is amazing. She got from the virtual world to the real world. And this is what we will see. We will see that consumers will come from a virtual world and start understanding the real world. It's scary to think of, but it's true. We talked about this a couple of years ago where we looked at Africa, where in Africa we could see consumers being first users of smartphones. They never seen a computer. They don't know the possibilities a computer gave them or the limitations that a computer had. So they were consuming information online solely through a smartphone. And that changed. That changed a lot. And nowadays, Google is optimizing whatever it is online based on mobile view. They don't care about how you present things for a computer. They only care about how you present things for a mobile device. This is just to make you think a little bit outside the box, to think about the future and what we know, but also what we don't know. Because the virtual world is tomorrow's reality. We live in the world that we thought was the real world. And with that in mind, the virtual world will enable us in so many more ways that we can't imagine. With this suit, you'll actually feel senses in the virtual world. You will get impulses from the virtual world to feel things. And there's other devices that will give you other senses like smell and taste. So the limitations that we have been thinking of in the virtual world doesn't exist any longer. Basically, there are no limitations. And Meta is one platform that will enable this. There are other platforms, but Meta will invest in creating the possibility for producers, inventors, ideas to be owned by those that produce them, in collaboration with digital currency and NFT and other technology improvements. That's all for today from me. If you want to speak more about this, then please reach out to me. Thank you.